Welcome to another fun-filled edition of Second City Sports Zoom style.
Zoom style.
Along with Miss Lakeena McGee and Mr. Lamont Scott, I am Sydney Brown. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter and the IG at SidK80. Once again, at SidK80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80.
You can follow me at Keena McGee on Twitter and at Keena_McGee on the IG.
You can follow me at Lamont Scott on Facebook, Lamont Scott 69 on Instagram, and Lamont Scott 16 on Twitter.
And you can follow this podcast, Second City Sports, along with our other programming from War Media, We Are Regal Radio. Please visit our website at weareregalradio.com. That's WEAREREGAL radio.com. Wherever you download your podcast, please make sure to search for War on Anchor. That's WARR on Anchor. We're also on iHeartRadio, and you can search for War on Anchor there as well. Also, we are on the Tube, a.k.a. YouTube, at War Media. Once again, at WARR Media. You can not only listen to us, but you can watch us do our thing live. Hello.
Hello. Oh, whatever.
Hello.
Hello. Oh, whatever. We're working on it. We're working on it profusely.
We got tires. We had gas. Now we got tires, gas, and fuel in the tank. So we're getting there.
Yes, we are getting there. Oh, okay. I think Sid froze on us, but all right. So while we reestablish connection, let's get right to it and talk some Bears. The Bears. What more can you say about them at this point? The Bears lost a I don't want to say heartbreaker, or I guess I don't know, to the Lions 34-30. Lions basically going through. We talked about it on our previous pod on Friday. Sid and I. The Lions are basically starting from scratch. They have no coach right now. They have no GM right now, but they were able to, pull off the quote-unquote mild upset, if you will, against the Bears. So, Sid, I'll start with you. What did you think about the game and everything else that transpired?
Last week on the latest edition of #BearsPoop, Mitch Trubisky actually played like a quarterback.
Yeah.
Your defense, as I predicted last week, is breaking, and it broke. You gave up 400 yards to Matt Stafford, or as Rob Parker from FS1 would say, Stats Padford. That's a whole nother story. Your special teams, okay, you got a couple field goals, whoop-de-doo. Your head coach, Matt Nagy, some questionable calls down the stretch, including that last play of the game, which we'll get into in just a second. Overall, you played 55 minutes of pretty good football, especially from the offensive end. But in the last 2.5 minutes, you let the Lions score 2 touchdowns, which led them to their comeback victory. This does not look good. I wanted to get upset. I'm running out of words. Yeah, I hate to say this, but this is going to be the occurring thing from now until Black Monday on January 4th of 2021, when hopefully Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace both get their pink slips.
Sid, I wasn't so hurt because I didn't expect nothing. See, I've learned not to expect anything. I expected a loss, even though I picked them to win. I expected a loss. I would hope they would surprise me and win. I mean, remember I said, 2 weeks ago that I don't think they can win another game this year, and they may not win another game this year. But I was actually encouraged by David Montgomery and what the offense was doing. And the defense broke down. You take it to a fact, you got 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks that didn't face pretty much the last 2 weeks, because Stats Patford, as you put it, will probably get into the Hall of Fame simply because he got some amazing numbers. If he happened to win a playoff game, he definitely going to get in somewhere. And he may go down as like greatest quarterback in Detroit Lions history, kind of like Jay Cutler is our greatest quarterback. I mean, he got great numbers up there, though.
Hey, don't you disrespect Eric Kramer and Rodney Peete.
What about Jim Miller?
Oh, brother.
But yeah, I mean, I didn't expect a lot out of him. Like you said, there was some questionable situations at the end of that game. Not so mad at Allen Robinson. I mean, he was just trying to get out of bounds. Yeah, he should know better, but at least we know he'll be quiet for the rest of the year and just hope he get another contract somewhere else. But all of that talking he was doing, you can't run your mouth and make plays like that. You know, that's not cool. And that call, you mentioned that call was crazy. Like they had 6 straight passes that was completed before he decided to start 3 yards back to get 1 yard forward. I don't know where do he come from with his running game where he feel you got to start 3 yards back to go 1 yard forward. Like, I've never seen that. Like, maybe I'm an old school John Riggins type running. You know, I remember the Hogs in Washington type guy. So they never went backwards to go forward. So, and that's what the season has done. It has went backwards, and I don't see it going back forward.
Yeah, I mean, oh gosh. I mean, I'm not surprised either that they lost. I mean, once Trubisky lost that ball, trying to throw it, and the Lions defense forced that fumble, I was like, you know what, forget it. I don't care anymore. Like, you know, they should have won that game. And unfortunately, the defense, you can tell that they were getting frustrated. The offense, again, you know, shows how inept they are. They were passing when they should have been running, and they were running when they should have been passing, especially in those last couple of possessions. But that should have, you know, that would have sealed the game for them. But, you know,
Yeah.
at this point, you're like, you know what, or whatever. I mean, like, let them lose out. I mean, it's the least they deserve. And, you know, it just shows you that you can tell that, you know, everything kind of has to be wiped clean and just start over. I mean, at this point, yes, Montgomery showed you some flashes, but again, this was against the Detroit defense that's near the bottom in a lot of categories. Yeah. And, you know, and, you know, Matt Stafford, you know, did his thing. He didn't make too many mistakes. You know, he actually kept the Lions in it. He was a reason. So the fact that, you know, they were able to pull this off actually is surprising, but not really. So, I mean, this Bears team, you know, let the pooviness continue. Like, let them lose out the rest of the season. Who cares? Although they're not going to go to the playoffs, so you know what? It's all moot at this point.
I mean, yeah, y'all call it Bears poop. It's like diarrhea more so than Bears poop. It's just running garbage. Like, it's real bad, man. And I mean, like you say, it's embarrassing in a sense. But I think we checked out about 3-4 weeks ago. I mean, I can't speak for y'all, but I checked out about 3 weeks ago. And then when they went back to Mitch, I really checked out because I don't see no future in nothing. Like, where do we even go get a quarterback from? I mean, I seen Mike Lennon playing yesterday. I mean, what do we do at quarterback going forward? I mean, we got issues. Maybe we need to look into the college ranks. And I thought when that GM came, he said he was going to draft a quarterback every draft or something of that nature. What they haven't drafted none. I don't really get it. Like, you got to at least try. And I don't think they haven't tried.
You're listening to Second City Sports along with Lakeena and Lamont Scott. I am Sydney Brown as we discuss the Bears 34-30 loss to the Detroit Lions in Week 13 at Soldier Field. We'll get to Mike Glennon later, Lamont. I was watching some of that game live via my computer, and as we'll break down the rest of the Week 13 action later. But getting back to the Bears, Allen Robinson, I understand what you were saying, Lamont, about him getting out of bounds because the Bears did not have a timeout left, but he had enough time to reach for the first down marker and then get out of bounds. It wouldn't have come down to that David Montgomery play. If you cannot get 1 yard in the National Football League, you do not deserve to win. Let me repeat that again. If you cannot get 1 yard in the National Football League, you do not deserve to win. What do we talk about all the time? Situational football, like head coach Bill Belichick or Belichick from the New England Patriots, in which we'll talk about them later as well. He talks about situational football, what to do when this happens, what to do when that happens. What are you prepared to do in every situation? And we talked about it all year, guys. This team comes out unprepared, lack of focus. They're one of the top teams in the league as far as penalties are concerned. Yes, the players have to be held accountable, but it all starts with your head coach. And what happened at the end of that game on Sunday is an indictment of what has been happening to this Bears team the last couple years.
Sid, one quick question, Sid. Technically, he got 3 yards and didn't make the 4th yard. That's the part I don't get. He got 3 yards because he started 3 yards back. He made it up to the line of scrimmage. So that's 3 yards right there. So maybe if he went from the line of scrimmage, he would have got 1 yard. So technically, he didn't get 4 yards, but he got 3. So,
Hashtag math.
Math. Oh my gosh. I mean, look, it's just like there was no excuse for him not to get that 1 yard to get that first down that probably would have ended it. But, it's just, look, you got to give credit to the Lions. I mean, once they were down, they could have just easily folded, but they didn't. So, they were able to kind of, come back and, Bevel was able to get his first win as a head coach. And I don't think he'll get the job, but I think if this is a nice confidence boost because he should look. I think the Lions know, and the Bears fans know that the Lions should have won that first game. They didn't have Galloway. Swift wasn't there either yesterday, so there basically no excuse. The fact that the defense. I want to get back on the defense for a second. The defense gave up over 400 total yards. I mean, come on. I mean that the Bears defense is showing. I think that they're quitting now. I think they've quit. I really think they have, and I think that maybe they were on to something when they said that, maybe they are quitting. I mean, 462 total yards, no Galloway, no Swift. I mean, come on, that's not acceptable. And Robert Quinn, where are you? I mean, we didn't see him anywhere. I mean, we heard
one tackle. Yeah, one tackle.
Yeah, one tackle. Yeah, I mean, again, one. Mac, he did. Oh, look, yeah, look, I know everybody wants to say that, well, Mac was hell, but look, so is Aaron Donald. I mean, some of the top, defensive, defensive ends and linebackers in the league are being held a lot. So, like, don't give me that either. But, I mean, there's a lot of issues on both sides of the ball at this, right now, at this point in the season. And it's just like, let's just wipe the slate clean and just start over. You listen to Second City Sports Zoom style. We're talking Bears along with Sydney Brown and Lamont Scott. I'm Lakeena McGee. I'm all up to the floor to you guys. What do you think needs to happen? What should happen?
Pink slips and green cards. I mean, they got to start from the top. Clean house. Because do you trust them picking our next quarterback? I don't. So if you don't clean house from the top, it's going to be a problem. I mean, you need to lock ownership up in their estate, lock them in their little estate, get some new people in there, and start over. I mean, we got to start over with some quarterback, and I think that's what they should be starting to focus on. Look around the league, see who coming out of college. Well, we're going to end up with about the 7th pick probably, see who coming out. See, can we make some shuffling, grab one of them quarterbacks that's coming out? Even if he's a quote-unquote project, it can't be worse than what we got. And we might as well throw the 3rd-string guy out there and let him see that we got an arm. I mean, you never know till you try.
I said this on our last podcast, and I'll say it here today. Both Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace should go, but after reading on some stuff and listening to some stuff over the weekend, Matt Nagy has 2 years left on his contract after this season. Of course, Ryan Pace still has 1 year after this season. What I think is going to happen is that Ryan Pace will go and Matt Nagy will stay, which means that whoever's the new GM or vice president of player personnel, they will have 1 year to decide if Nagy is the guy going for it. That's what I think is going to happen. What in the history of this franchise, besides hiring Mike Ditka, and that was on George House's last breath until he passed away in, I want to say, late 83, early 84, when he hired Mike Ditka. Well, he hired Mike Ditka at 82. He died a couple years later. But outside of that, when do you know that this Bears franchise has made the right decision? They had to be shamed in almost in the same situation that this Bears team is in now 6 years ago to fire Mark Trestman. They weren't going to do it. But the Bears team at the time was so bad. Issues were in that locker room, which spilled out onto the field. Of course, some of the players that are left over from the Lovey era, they were old and they had to go. And everything just blew up in their face. So the McCaskies were embarrassed enough where they had to force to fire Mark Trestman because originally they weren't going to do it. And then now they're facing the same predicament. I just can't see them paying Matt Nagy for 2 years and releasing him. Should they do it? Yes. Are they going to do it? Unless I see it on January 4th of Monday of 2021, I do not trust the McCaskies making the right move. I'm with you, Lamont. If they're going to clean house, you clean house of everybody. You just can't clean one part and leave the other one dirty and semi-clean. That just won't work.
Yeah, that's like putting deodorant on a musky body.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I mean, look, I think we're seeing sort of this team basically has given up. Basically, I think once Trubisky gave up that fumble and deep in their own territory, and they were the Lions were able to do what they did and score that game-winning touchdown. You can kind of tell that the defense, they didn't show it too much, but you could tell the defense was dejected. They were like, really? And, Hicks, who knows if Akeem Hicks is 100%. He didn't look like himself. If you're Allen Robinson, like, do you really want to stay? Like, seriously? I mean, come on. So I'm kind of at this point where you just, like, okay, what do you do here? So like I mean I don't know where the Bears go from here. I honestly don't.
Adrian Peterson body language on that last touchdown showed you how weak the Bears was. You see when he came through there, he like had to stomp it off. Like, y'all can't stop me. I'm 100 years old, but y'all can't stop me. Like, he came through there and had an attitude, and that just summed up that whole defensive feeling. They probably was like, and checking out ain't a bad thing sometimes, I guess, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, now when your job's on the line.
Yeah, I mean, sure, absolutely.
But you get it, most of them jobs not on the line. The defense pretty much, all of them got contracts. Who coming up for a contract? Not nobody important, really. So they looking at next year. They like, man, we get some new management in here. We get some new people in here. We can move forward. They all gonna be back pretty much next year. So I can see some of them saying we good. We'll see you We'll see you in spring training. They're gonna blame it on COVID. It was the COVID season, and roll the dice on next year.
Speaking of one of the free agents to be on the Bears team, besides wide receiver Allen Robinson, another wide receiver / kick returner / running back is Cordell Patterson. He had 10 carries for 59 yards, including a rushing touchdown in the first quarter. It's nice to see that Cordell Patterson can run forward besides his occasional 2 carries.
Right, okay. Well, you can tell he wanted that win too. So, yeah. I mean, he did what he usually, look, he ran, he made some, keeps, he kept the chains moving for the most part, especially, not until the end, but again, they didn't have a 100-yard rusher for the Bears. They've only done it once already this season. So if you're a Cordell Patterson, do you really want to stay? I mean, do you want to try to go somewhere else and maybe perhaps go someplace? Or maybe if you want to try to see if we can get you another ring, I guess. I mean, I don't know.
But let me ask you a question. So is it me or does it seem like, because you mentioned Cordell Patterson running side to side, does it seem like all of their run plays start side to side or in the backfield? Like, when do they have a running play that starts at the line of scrimmage and goes forward? It seems like everything starts backwards or sideways. Like, I don't never see them just say, okay, let's run this person over. That's why they can't get 1 yard. I mean, it make you wish for Mark Bortz and Covert and Keith Van Horn and them cats. It make you just, man, go all the way back to get somebody that can run somebody over. I don't see them ever go forward, and that'd be so frustrating. Like, why we can't go forward?
What do you say?
You're correct, Lamont, but I'm at loss of words for that one. That comes down to coaching once again.
Yeah, I mean, they all start sideways or backwards. Like, it's like he's scared to just go forward. Like, look at Cordell Patterson, the perfect example. He always going to the side before he can even go forward. So by the time he cut to go forward, he tired anyway. So yeah, I mean that's not, you know, I don't get it, man. I really don't. That's why I hope our next coach at least know how to run the ball. Even if we losing, at least he going forward.
It was nice to see Cole Clement show up on the stat sheet yesterday. 5 catches, 37 yards, including the first quarter touchdown. Darnell Mooney, 4 catches, 43 yards, including a 21-yard reception. And David Montgomery, the running back you mentioned in Lamont, 4 catches coming out of the backfield for 39 yards. Anthony Miller, it's nice to see him show up on the stat sheet as well. 5 catches for 56 yards.
Yeah, but they didn't use him as much as they should have, and that's unfortunate. And that's actually unfortunately been the theme this season, that you're not using your wide receivers how we used to. I mean, and also you're not using your running backs like you used to. I mean, look, Bilal on the defense side, Bilal Nichols made some stops. You know, he had an interception early in the game, but didn't hear too much from him after that. So I would say I don't know what else you can't say.
But Lakeena, I'm okay with not hearing from the person as long as I'm not hearing from the person that they're guarding. You know what I'm saying? If I don't hear the cornerback name and I don't hear that wide receiver name, I'm okay because I know he's doing his job. It's when they had them gaping holes, and like you mentioned Cole Kmet, why we wasn't throwing it to him? We've been throwing the ball to Jimmy Graham, 6 times a game, every game. I mean, we drafted him number 1 for a reason, right? Wasn't that our first pick for a reason?
Yeah. Yeah, they're supposed to. Yep, they're not using them though. That's another problem that they haven't been using them.
Go back to coach.
Also, real quick before go ahead. I'm sorry.
What's get lost in all this too is Mitchell Trubisky, like I mentioned in the open, he actually looked like a comparable, capable NFL quarterback. I know he only had 267 yards in the first quarter touchdown pass, but he had a quarterback rating of 108.3, his best in a long time.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And he looked better on the move. Like when they go tempo, it looked like he works better because he don't have to try to outthink the person in the defense on the other side. He just let's get it, let's go.
Yep.
And he like he worked better that way. But I don't see how we can see that and they can't see that and they get paid umpteen times more than us.
Yeah.
As you always say, Lamont, coach your team and not your scheme. Coach your team and not your scheme.
I will give your defense this, though. I mean, Roquan Smith, he had 9 tackles, 7 solo tackles. I mean, look, that guy is a beast, and you wonder, are we kind of wasting him? Screen had some key plays as well, but they didn't do it when it counted. And I think that's sort of like the big sort of, red light for me. The fact that they did do their job, but they didn't do their job when they had to.
You said red light, not flag. You got the whole light.
I'm going for the whole light. I'm going for the whole light. No flag. I'm going for a whole neon red light. Oh, yeah.
Light.
All right. Okay, anything else you guys want to talk about with this game before we talk about the rest of the league?
Man. No.
Yeah, let's throw the Bears in the trash bag until next week when Deshaun Watson tears them up. But we'll get into that part on our next podcast over the weekend.
Deshaun Watson revenge game coming at you on Sunday.
Yeah.
Yes.
Another woulda, shoulda, coulda guy. He a woulda, shoulda, coulda.
Yep. We'll find out who on the CBS crew gets stuck calling that game, and because I feel bad for them. But week 13 saw some a lot of surprises and also some great performances. So what stood out to you guys in week 13? Lamont, I'll start with you.
Man, I'm gonna go with I'm gonna say some of that for the studs and duds. But what I was surprised and not too surprised with, I told you I had a chance to look at that New Orleans team a little bit. I don't know if they can hold up in the playoffs. I'm not that defense may not survive the first round. Definitely not the second round if they continue to do that. Now, I know they say Drew Brees not there, so that's why it was a struggle, but I'm not – Alvin Kamara he's Superman right now, and his name should come up in the MVP talk sometime. But at the same time, I don't think their defense can hold through. So I watched that one, And I was a little, nervous because they running the league right now, but Green Bay is throwing arrows at the back of their head. And I don't see them being able to duck them arrows. And, not only just a Green Bay, right now, they look like any team can score on them. So we going to see. It's going to be interesting. So I watched that game. Like I say, a couple of them other games going to show up in our list. So other than that.
Piggybacking off your Saints and Falcons point, Lamont, I did watch some of that game. It looked like New Orleans were going to do to Atlanta what they did to Denver last week and blow them out early. But Atlanta, even though I did pick them on Friday to upset the Saints, Atlanta's defense was not that great. I think it was more of New Orleans going through the motions, to be honest with you. And Atlanta's offense did not look great either, even though you had Julio Jones and Todd Gurley back from injuries in their lineup. The Falcons' offense did not wake up until their fourth quarter, and they still had a chance to win the game on the last play of the game. New Orleans, I agree with you, for this past Sunday, they got lucky getting out of Atlanta with the victory. They really did impress me. They really they started off hot early, but I kind of got that feeling like, they're gonna put their foot on the neck of the Falcons early, and they just couldn't. They just couldn't dominate.
Right.
Only thing they managed to do is not lose while Breeze was out. So he come back next week, and they didn't lose the game while he was gone. So that they showed that they had some staying power, and they have something we don't have: coaching. He adjusted that whole team around Tyson Hill. He adjusted his whole offense around Hill so they can win them games, and that was called coaching, Mr. Nagy.
Oh my gosh. I gotta say what impressed me, and like I said, we'll stretch it out when we do our studs and does, is the New York Giants. Whatever Joe Judge is, telling his guys, keep going, because they seem to be buying it. And look, Colt McCoy, who hasn't played a regular season game in 3 or 4 years, had an interception early on, but he settled in, didn't make too many mistakes. And look, their defense, they basically had Russell Wilson, chasing. They're basically chasing Russell Wilson around all game. He was sacked 5 times. So, look, again, a game that the Bears should have lost was against the Giants, and that was when they had everybody healthy. So they're 5-7, and look, they may end up winning the NFC East. I don't know. We'll see. Everyone else is still in it, but I don't know.
I wish we was in the East. We was in the East. We'll be in first place in the East.
Oh my goodness gracious. So let's do our studs and dubs for week 13. Sid, I'll start with you. Or not. Okay, go ahead, Lamont.
Okay. Studs. As I look at the coach of the Philadelphia Eagles,
Doug Peterson,
gets a stud for finally listening to the people and taking that man out the game and inserting Jalen Hurts. He should have been took Wentz out the game, but I understand why. $35 million is a lot of money to sit on the bench. But eventually you got to have some what's, and you got to make that call, and he had them to make the call. So he get a complete stud for finally pulling the plug on that. My second one, the New York Football Giants. They pulled it off with Colt McCoy. Colt McCoy, I wish he was our quarterback at one time. Right now, I would have took him because it looked like he was competent and capable. And, they get the second one. And the third one is a team that I haven't given any respect to all season long, and a quarterback. But I did mention that they would be better, the Cleveland Browns and Baker Mayfield. I told people that Cleveland would be better off when he got hurt. When he went out, I said, well, Cleveland might turn out to be better now because he don't have to worry about him and making sure he's satisfied. So now that he doesn't have to do that, and he showed people that he can pass, plus the weather been horrible up there in Cleveland. He showed the people he could pass, and win a game. So yeah, I mean, I'm gonna get them a little love because they got a great record right now, and they like a sleeper team that don't nobody want to see.
Before I get to my three studs, going back to that Giants Seahawks game yesterday, I watched the end of that game via my computer. Russell Wilson, as we talked about all year, Lamont, you can cancel those MVP ceremonies for 2020. He's not going to get. I don't care what he does for next week on. He's not going to win the MVP. He'll go to somebody else. And so they have problems, but I think they'll get back on track because they have the Jets going up there next week to play the Seahawks. So Russell Wilson for MVP this year, you can cancel that. For the Giants, they actually had a run game. Wayne Gallman, 16 carries for 135 yards. Their defense actually showed up, and they gave it to Seattle. So, like I said, Seattle, along with the Saints, are battling for the number one spot in the NFC to see who gets home field advantage. So the Giants deserve their props. Number two, the Cleveland Browns, as you mentioned, LeBron, and they'll be one of my three studs in just a moment. I watched that entire first half via my computer. Baker Mayfield came out on fire. That defense was on point, and Tennessee didn't know what to do. I know they got it together in that second half. It was too little too late, but you have to give it up to Cleveland yesterday. They really came out to play.
Yes.
For now, for my three studs, number one, Darren Waller for the Las Vegas Raiders, 13 catches for 200 yards, including 2 touchdowns. My second stud is Baker Mayfield. You saw what he did against the Titans. And my third stud is the New England special teams. 1 blocked field goal returned for a touchdown before the end of that first half, and they had a special teams punt return also for a touchdown.
Okay.
Ooh, nice. All right. My turn. My studs go to the Green Bay Packers again. They made it close. The Eagles made it close. When Jalen Hurts came in and gave the offense that spark. But look, Aaron Rodgers being the 7th quarterback to pass for over 400 touchdowns. So congrats to him. A couple of those were to Devontae Adams. Won my fantasy league this week. Yay! Their defense is just enough, and so it looks like the Packers will have that division wrapped up maybe perhaps next week.
Yeah.
I'm going to say the Los Angeles Rams. Basically because, they really didn't have to do too much. I mean, that was actually, I watched some of that game via my laptop.
She got the laptop.
Yes, got to be specific here. Jared Goff had a touchdown pass and a touchdown run, and also their running backs, Cam Akers and also Darrell Henderson Jr. I mean, they each had a touchdown rush as well. Of course, their defense, of course, Aaron Donald, did what they're supposed to do, sort of slow down that offense of the Cardinals, and it looks like they may have that division wrapped up especially with Seattle being upset by the Giants. And my third one is, of course, the Giants. Like I said, whatever Joe Judge is doing, let's keep it going. And like I said, Colt McCoy didn't make a lot of mistakes, and their defense showed up as well. And Wayne Gallman, of course, you just mentioned it, Sid. They may have that division wrap. They might be on the driver's seat in the NFC East. So we'll see. I think they still got to play each of the East, at least once more, but should be a fun down the stretch. And I never thought I would be saying NFC East. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, and the Giants host the Cardinals next week.
Oh, yeah. So that should be an interesting game. Ooh, that should be an interesting one. Could be for a playoff. That might be for the playoffs, because the Cardinals, they got to keep pace. So they'd be out the playoffs right now if they started today. So we'll see with that one. Your duds, guys.
Well, I mean, they shouldn't get it, but the Chicago Bears.
Oh, they're gonna get it. They're gonna get it.
Yeah,
the whole team.
Matt Nagy on down, get it. I'm not just giving it to Allen Robinson. Matt Nagy on down, get it. So yes, they can have one. The Seattle Seahawks. Russell Wilson will not be an MVP again this year. He had an MV6, maybe an MV7. Good games. That's kind of what he had. So yes, they will get it. And then the Los Angeles Chargers. you got people asking for that man's job out there. I want to ask y'all how y'all feel about that. But yeah, I don't get it. Too much talent on both sides. I mean, you got a future great quarterback. You got a few all-pros on defense. How does that happen? And in the NFL, how does that happen?
That's a good question. My 3 duds are the Arizona Cardinals, the Philadelphia Eagles, even though Jalen Hurts did give him a spark when he came in that third quarter. But my third dud will be now ex-defensive coordinator Greg Williams, who was given his pink slip and link cards right before we recorded this podcast. Of course, safety Marcus May, who had 2 penalties on that last drive when the Las Vegas Raiders took the lead and eventually won the game. Greg Williams, players on the Jets were upset following Sunday's loss to the Raiders. Of course, the Jets were down 24-13. I did watch some of that game via my computer. They made a valuable comeback. They actually played like they wanted to win. But some of the Jets defensive players complained about Greg Williams calling the all-out blitz on 4th down, which led to the game-winning touchdown by Ruggs for the Raiders to clinch a win on the road. And what happens? Greg Williams got his pink slip and link card. So there's your party gifts for the holidays, fool.
But Sid, he shouldn't have been the only one. If you're going to give him out over there, they should have gave him to a few people. And that defense can't take nothing because y'all the same ones that was giving out dirty hits for this man a few weeks ago. So y'all been playing dirty for him. Now he do something y'all don't like. Y'all turn on him. That's just like a backstabber right there. No.
Good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, y'all was out here doing hits for this man. Now y'all want to complain for the boss? No. Get out there and do a hit. Go hit somebody else now.
Oh, yep. Oh, I saw the end of that game yesterday. Like, my God, what the heck was that? Oh my goodness. And yes,
shout out to Spiro, friend of the show. He had a great call during that game on Sunday.
Oh yes, I definitely concur, and that had to have been a crazy game for him and Adam Archuleta to call because that ending was just insane. My duds, the Cardinals, Zane Gonzalez missed another field goal. There will be kicker tryouts outside in Glendale, Arizona, I'm sure next season because you've had multiple chances to – this team should have a better record right now. They should be maybe, 9-3, maybe 8-4 at most.
At least, yeah.
But you're 6-6. You're out the playoffs as of this recording, as of right now. So Kyler Murray, you got to take care of the ball, my friend. You can't be, freewheeling with the ball. You can't do that. Defense, maybe invest in some more, maybe a veteran front 7 guy. Just saying. But they're my duds. Seattle, I mean, what the heck that O-line, my God. I mean, we made fun. Look, they've had issues with their front 7 on defense. Their O-line has been atrocious as Russell Wilson's whole career. 5 times he got sacked. 5 times? Come on. That's just absurd. And my last dud, and God, this is just Tennessee. I don't know what. Look, I know your defense isn't much to write home about. We talked about this, but giving up all those points and all those yards, over 450 yards, I mean, total yards, come on. I mean, Derrick Henry fumbled, which is that's rare. That rarely happens. So
300 times, right?
Yeah. So, and I think that was just his second, his third of his whole career. So, yeah, you kind of lost your chance of sort of, wrapping up the AFC South. But, yeah, those are my duds.
Going back to that Jacksonville, Minnesota contest from Sunday, your Minnesota's kicker, Dan Bailey, missed 2 extra points. And, of course, Chase McLaughlin missed an extra point for the Jacksonville Jaguars, including a 61-yarder. I understood why head coach I forget his name. That escapes me
Mike
for the
Zimmer.
moment.
Mike Zimmer.
Oh no, I'm talking about the Jacksonville. Doug Marrone.
Doug Marrone,
He
yeah.
went for it at the end to try to win the game, but kicking was not in the cards for both of those teams yesterday. Of course, Minnesota won in overtime 27-24. But I'll say this, give Jacksonville credit, even though they cannot break their losing streak yet. They're showing more fight and more heart than our Chicago Bears. And I wish this game was next week, but it'll be in 2 weeks when the Bears travel to Jacksonville to take on the Jaguars. As Lamont mentioned early in this segment, Mike Glennon, he had a key turnover, especially in overtime. But up until that point, he was playing his butt off.
Boy, if he playing when the Bears play, ooh, he going to light us up for 400. He going to light us up for 400.
The year of Glennon.
The Mike Glennon revenge game coming at you in 2 weeks.
He gonna light us for 400. I can see it coming.
Oh yeah, look, I mean that Jacksonville team is not as bad as a lot of people think. I mean, they're not taking necessarily, but I don't think they're going to try to win a lot of games. So we'll see what they do once they do play the Bears. Like you said, they might end up winning that game at this point, because at this point I don't really care. I don't really care anymore. So. Like, they might end up winning that game, and I'll be cheering hard for them and for Mike Glennon, too.
Me too.
Well, yeah, I want to ask you guys this question before we head off of the segment. If you're Philadelphia, should you start Jalen Hurts, even though you're still technically in the NFC race, but this team is not going anywhere for 2020? Would you start Jalen Hurts for the rest of the season? I'll go and put in my vote. I would say yes.
You know, I would want to, but it's gonna be hard to explain $35 million on the bench, see?
But he hasn't gotten. Carson Wentz hasn't gotten it done all year. And number two, he has attitude problems, and he's rubbing his teammates the wrong way. And it's been like that ever since he's been there.
Yeah, and you look at it like maybe they can dump him on us or something, but it's gonna be hard.
That's gonna be a huge contract.
That's a lot of That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money, though, and I don't think McCaskey's gonna want to do that.
Yeah, you can't. But I would definitely start him. I want him to start, but it's kind of hard to put that money on the bench. Like, how you even explain it?
I would say they probably will. I think they will. If I were Doug Peterson, I think I would give Jalen Hurts a try. You saw the spark that they had against the Packers yesterday, so. Yeah, I know that $35 million. Yeah, that's a lot of money to leave out on the bench. But we've heard like the stories of guys, and also Wentz not having attitude issues, and his teammates don't really get along with him. So
they can always say he injured and put him on the bench. He hurt. That's put him in COVID protocol. He hurt. Do what y'all gotta do. Do what y'all got to do not to put them back out there. It won't be the first time teams have done things to put quarterbacks in the game. I mean, stuff like that happen in California all the time.
Yeah, but I think you want to see what you have. I mean, there's a reason why they drafted him. I think that's probably why his leadership skills. I'm talking about Jalen Hurts. So if I were Doug Peterson, I probably would bench Wentz and see what you got in Hurts, because you're still in the hunt for the NFC East, oddly enough. So let's see what you got.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to take a quick break, and we still got a lot to talk about too. We got college football, some great performances. Also, COVID wreaking havoc again, and maybe a rule that we talked about earlier a few weeks ago might come to fruition in the Big Ten. We'll see about that. Also, college hoops. Top two teams couldn't play because of COVID. Also, COVID's wreaking havoc there as well in college hoops, and also in the NBA too. So, got a lot to talk about still. So, we'll be right back with more Second City Sports Zoom style.
Zoom style.
Welcome back to hour 2 of Second City Sports Zoom style.
Zoom style.
Zoom style.
I'm Lakeena McGee once again. You can follow me at Keena McGee on Twitter, easy for me to say, and at Keena_McGee on the IG.
You can follow me at Lamont Scott on Facebook, Lamont Scott 69 on Instagram, and Lamont Scott 16 on Twitter.
You can follow yours truly, Sid the Kid, on Twitter and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, at SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80. You can go to our website at wearericoradio.com. You can follow this podcast along with the other podcast programming from War Media by simply searching for War on Anchor. Wherever you download your podcast, make sure you search for War on Anchor. That's WARR on Anchor, including on iHeartRadio. Download the iHeartRadio app and search for War on Anchor in that search engine box. We are also on the Tube, aka YouTube, at War Media. Once again, at WARR Media. You can not only listen to us, but watch us do our thing live. Look alive!
There we go.
I won't sing this time because my Zoom may go out.
Right, yeah. The dude's trying to tell you something. Maybe the dude's trying to tell you something. But, yeah, I mean, look, a busy week on the college ranks. Some interesting developments in the college football aspect of it. You know, cancellations, there were some upsets. So what did you see, Lamont, this weekend?
Actually, I saw a few things that impressed me. I got a couple of patty on the back, so I'm gonna give out. One, I'm gonna start with the Coastal Carolina team beating BYU. Is Coastal Carolina for real? That's the question.
The fighting Chanticleers. The fighting Chanticleers.
You gotta say it, the Chanticleers. Yeah, you gotta, because you get mad when you say it wrong. But yeah, they say they the real deal. People say they too small, but they the real deal. And after seeing Indiana a couple of weeks ago, who's very small, played with a big team, I would just like to see them play somebody a little better than BYU, and just to see them play somebody better, just to either put up or shut up type situation. But something else that impressed me was kid out of Louisiana, plays for Alabama. I think his name is Devontae Smith.
Mm-hmm.
And he put up like 400 and some yards, I think it was. He put up like 231, I think, and had like 3 touchdowns. But he was like the fastest player on the field. Like every player seemed like he ran past them. Like, and maybe it's because they was playing, LSU, but he ran past everybody on that team every time he went out to get like a ball. He was just doing his thing. Like LSU was looking real bad. And then a shout out to the quarterback from Notre Dame. I think he like set a record or something, the winningest quarterback or something that he won. But he should be going pro, right?
That's the senior year.
Why we can't draft him? I'm just saying, we need somebody.
Brother needs somebody. Okay. What about you, Sid?
Clemson getting back on track, defeating Virginia Tech 45-10. Of course, Lamont, I'm not going to rub it in, but the Fighting Illini losing to Iowa, that was ugly.
My Zoom was blinking in and out. What you say?
Here we go with those tricks again. Yeah, Iowa defeating Illinois 35-21. The Miami Hurricanes, I did watch this game, the first half anyway. They shut out Duke 48-0. And Indiana, again, a big win over Wisconsin 14-6. So it looks like should Northwestern do what they have to do next week and beating Lovey's Fighting Illini, they'll be in the Big Ten title game.
Now, Illinois is going to upset them to keep them out that game.
They've already clinched, so it won't even it won't matter. They've already clinched the West, so it won't even make a difference.
Oh, well,
but they still need to win for morale, talking about Northwestern. Because they haven't played in a couple weeks.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, also another team that didn't miss a beat despite missing their head coach and some of their top guys, the Ohio State Buckeyes. They were able to, stave off an upset Miami Michigan State team. Justin Fields threw for 2 touchdowns and rushed for 2. So they looked really good. It looks like their game against Michigan will be on we'll see. I know Michigan was practicing. They hadn't practiced in a couple of weeks, so that'll be interesting. That's an interesting story to keep an eye on there. Texas A&M, I mean, it feels like they're not being talked about much. I guess since they lost to Alabama, they're like, you know what? Nobody like really cares about them.
Yeah.
So sort of like they're kind of been on the pay no mind list. Pay no mind list. I think Kellen Mond, set a record. I believe. I think like most touchdown passes by an SC quarterback. I think he joins a pretty exclusive list. So some people said maybe the Bears should this is year too. So maybe some people say that should be somebody the Bears could probably look at. You know, he'll be a later draft pick because he's a senior. So we'll see what happens there.
Look at somebody.
What was that, Lamont?
They can look at somebody.
Right. Look, it looks like it's going to be Iowa State and Oklahoma for the Big 12 championship. I mean, I know Oklahoma's going to want their revenge because they lost to Iowa State earlier this season. So we'll see once, you know, like once it's all official and such. Cincy and Tulsa, we'll talk more about those games on Friday. But, I mean, it looks like that could probably perhaps be for the American. That'll be a fun one there. So I'm looking forward to that one. I mean, I think for the rest of the season, I think this is sort of like, you know, week 15 is sort of like, you know, people positioning themselves because Oregon and Washington, that could be perhaps for the Pac-12 North. And the winner of that will probably end up playing USC in the Pac-12 title game in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, USC barely getting by in their game late on Saturday, defeating Washington State, I should say, 38-13. They dominated them, but it didn't look good early. But they got it together late, especially defensively in that second half. I know they came out on fire, scoring 28 points, but they did what they had to do. I'm talking about USC.
Yeah. And the only other thing in college football that affect me personally, they're having the Bayou Classic, but they're having in Shreveport. It's gonna be in Shreveport, and it's like April. So I did get my clearance to go to that. So I'm gonna go see that because that's.
Oh, hopefully you can give us some exclusive inside access.
Yeah, I will be there. I mean, it's in Shreveport. I don't really like Shreveport like that, but that's a game that's for that whole state. They had to play it, and New Orleans was trying to get them to do anything to get it done. If the Superdome was a retractable stadium, they might have played it in New Orleans, but the dome isn't, so that's why they had to move it.
Yeah, interesting development there. That's a big, you know, traditional game between them. So the fact that they had to do it in Shreveport this year, like with everything else in COVID, I mean that's a bummer. But at least they're gonna try to get it in. So we'll go.
That's going to win the national championship. COVID gonna win the national championship. COVID is dominating. COVID is the toughest team out there. Like they win.
Oh gosh. Okay. All right. So let's go to the college hardcore for a second. Some college hoops. A big upset that happened yesterday. Georgia Tech upsets Kentucky. Kentucky with their worst start, I think, since Calipari, I think, first started there. So
yay.
They running out of money.
Yeah, apparently, and Villanova in Texas in one of the holiday tournaments yesterday. So that should be, that was a fun one there. I actually was able to watch a little bit of that game. So yeah, have you guys watched any college hoops so far? If you have, what has impressed you?
I watched Illinois that game the other
That's
day. I called Gonzaga. $20. Damn. I watched them and I watched Gonzaga. I haven't watched anybody else too much yet.
Yeah, I haven't got a chance to get into it at all. Lakeena, I did watch the Illinois game from last week against Ohio, and they barely got by them. I know they're supposed to have a good team this year. I did check out some of that Michigan State Duke game from earlier this week. I know there was Tom Izzo's, the head coach of the Spartans. It was his first victory against Duke in the regular season. Duke, they're still going to be a good team, but they're not as dominant as they have been in years past. So we talked about it last year about being parity in college basketball. It may still be that way again this year, but like you guys have been saying, COVID's wreaking havoc already. I was looking forward to that Gonzaga game on Saturday, but it was canceled due to COVID.
Yeah, they were supposed to. Yeah, them and Baylor. They were supposed to have played on Saturday, but unfortunately, there was some COVID positive tests among the Zags players, and so they had to cancel that. Louisville, Wisconsin, they were supposed to have played tomorrow, but due to COVID protocols, that game got postponed. UConn has had to suspend team activities again after a positive test. I think this is the second time in a month that they've had to pause team activities, and they were just sort of starting to kind of get back into the groove. So, I mean, COVID's already we can have in the hoop season already. There've been a lot of cancellations, a lot of postponements. So
COVID rough. it make you almost say, why did they try to play? But I understand why they playing. Remember, I've been saying it for the longest that money talk, so they gonna play something. And as long as they see other sports going forward, they're gonna go forward with some type of product, even though it may not be the best or safest sometimes. They going forward.
Sid?
Yeah, that's what's been happening.
Yeah, it seems that way, right? I'll say this here: who's impressed me so far? Cade Cunningham, the young freshman from Oklahoma State. I think they're undefeated. I think they've only lost one game, but unfortunately, they will not be able to unless the NCAA change their minds. There were some violations that came up. We'll see if they'll be able to perhaps participate in the postseason. Should there be any postseason? I feel like I should say that. Houston looked really good. Kansas got a lot they can handle from North Dakota State. So that was a close one there. But God, it'll be interesting. I know the Pac-12 has already started some of their conference play, so it's gonna be very interesting. UCLA beat Cal, so it'll be interesting if they can get these games in, because like we've been saying, it's already kind of been wreaking havoc already.
Yeah, you had mentioned something earlier y'all didn't get to about a change that was supposed to have been happening in USC had just mentioned that change that may happen. He teased it going to the break.
Lakeena?
What?
No, I thought you teased something.
That was you, Sid, right?
Yeah,
it was you, Lakeena.
I was? That was?
Yep.
What was I talking about? See, old age is starting to get to me already.
29 is not old.
What?
29 is not old.
They had to play. Yeah, they got to play Arizona because of COVID. Their county has the Santa Clara County officials said that y'all can't practice, y'all can't play here, so they had to find somewhere else to play, and they're going to be playing in Arizona Stadium, so at Phoenix Stadium. So that's why they're going to be playing Buffalo tonight, actually, for Monday Night Football.
And it's another one tonight, right? And that Dallas game tonight, right?
That's tomorrow. Washington and Pittsburgh.
Yeah, that's. See, I'm confused. That's how bad it is. But what did you mention something about Big Ten might be changing a rule or something?
That was for Ohio State in football. They may change the rule where they may have the minimum requirement of games because of what happened. They've had cancellations and postponements, so they might change the rules so that Ohio State can get in. Now, Michigan, they might be able to play this week. Who knows? They're still waiting out on testing, but we'll see. But if they don't, if by chance they don't end up playing, maybe they might change the rule to have Ohio State get in. Because if it were in right now, Indiana would get in against Northwestern and not Ohio State. But if they change the rule, Ohio State can get in there. Or if they find somebody to play, on Saturday. So we'll see.
Yeah, Ohio State's going to be involved in the National College Football Playoff one way or the other. So they're gonna find something. I guarantee you that.
Even if they got to expand it, they're going to get them in. They going to get them in.
Yeah.
I've already said that it's going to – I've already said that they're going to get them in. And by by whatever means necessary, they're going to get him in.
What now Sid, what you were saying about the Chicago Bulls schedule?
Yeah, great transition as you're listening to Second City Sports along with Lamont Scott and Lakeena McGee. I am Sydney Brown. The preseason starts this upcoming weekend, December 11th through the 13th. Of course, all teams will play 2 opponents, 4 preseason games in total. Of course, the schedule has been released or was released over the weekend. Of course, we'll focus on the Chicago Bulls because we are here in Chicago. Of course, their 2 preseason opponents are the Houston Rockets and the Oklahoma City Thunder. But the Bulls will kick off their 2020-21 season on Wednesday, December 21st versus the Atlanta Hawks at the United Center at 7 o'clock. As of right now, the United Center will not be open to the public because of the pandemic and the cases are rising in Cook County. They may open up the doors as late as spring should and hopefully the numbers will go down hopefully sooner rather than later. Of course, their first road game will be Tuesday, December 29th at Washington against the Wizards, and they'll stay there on New Year's Eve on the 31st. And of course, they'll play Giannis Antetokounmpo, aka the Greek Freak, in the Milwaukee Bucks on the road Friday, January 1st. So interesting scheduling here by the NBA, in particular looking at the Chicago Bulls. They will play every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday with a couple of weekend games on Saturdays and some Sundays sprinkling in here and there. So this is the first half of that schedule, which starts on December 23rd, which runs through Wednesday, March 3rd. Of course, their All-Star break will be starting on March 5th through March the 10th. Of course, this will give the league wiggle room should games have to be moved around, postponed, or what have you. So the Bulls will have their work cut out for them as as new head coach Billy Donovan will try to guide this group to hopefully some respectability.
Yeah, with the no fans, is that are they restricting family members also? Have you heard anything about that?
I'm not so sure about the family.
Yeah, because I'm seeing like in some instances where if you look at the college ranks, you know, you could see college football and college hoops. I mean, there are some stadiums that are not letting anybody in. You know, the Rose Bowl and the Fiesta Bowl has already said they're not going to let anybody in. They're not going to have crowds this year, which is going to be very, very weird because there's about like 100,000+ people that usually go to those games. So, but if you see in other parts of the country, they are letting family members and close friends in. So it all kind of depends on where you are, what region of the country you're in. But I think some NBA arenas, I think the one in Atlanta, I think they're letting like family members and friends, close friends in, but not like everyone else. I know that I believe in California, I think they're not going to let anyone in at all, I believe. So none of their arenas. So that's sort of, I'm sure some of the southern arenas, the other southern arenas will probably have fans, maybe like close to maybe 20-25%. I don't know like the exact number, but that's going to be a weird element. Will they have virtual fans? Will they have cardboard cutouts like we've seen in some of these places? So that's another element that I'm going to be looking at, you know, watching these preseason and regular season games.
And what I got y'all on the NBA, with this whole James, you know, with the Russell Westbrook trade, with the whole James Harden thing, do you think players just, I don't want to play with you no more, and they get the chance to walk away, or I want to be traded? Like, I don't like how that has become a part of NBA and even NBA talk. I mean, you signed your contract. That's what you signed for. Like, now you get mad and don't go to practice. You didn't go to practice because you went to a Lil Baby concert. And that you're going to tell him I went to a Lil Baby concert. Like, I mean, to his birthday party. My fault. He went to a birthday party at the strip club. And so that's and then you don't show up for practice. So like I'm not a big fan of that. Like, I don't want to play for you now, so I'm gonna act a fool type thing. I think owners need to stand up for themselves a little bit more. They do sign your check. But, you know, that's just me. And do you think he's going to get sent up out of Houston, or you think they're going to just deal with it and him and John Wall going to have a great family life down there?
Here's the thing. James Harden is trying to do that so he can get up out of Houston. Number two, with this player moving, you got to blame LeBron James, because if you're a superstar of his stature with that kind of clout, as the kids would say, you have a little room to maneuver and dictate wherever you want to go. I think it's a good thing to an extent, but I also think I agree with you. It's also a bad thing because you could do something bad and get away with it, and you can move on. But as far as James Harden's concerned, he's trying to do anything and everything possible to get up out of Houston. Will it work? We'll see. But it'll probably eventually, but right now it's not working.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you got a first-year head coach in Steven Silas, Paul's son, who's more
Mhm.
than qualified and worked his way through the ranks. So it's going to be very interesting because Harden isn't really the kind of guy that likes to stomp and complain. He's not. So but if early on we see there is some kind of disagreement and infighting between him and John Wall and Boogie Cousins. Remember, he's there now too. If they don't play well early on, yeah, there are probably going to be some people that probably are going to say, you know what, maybe Harden should, leave. Where would he go? Who knows?
that's the thing. Ain't nobody gonna give him nothing because they know they trying to move him. I mean, would you give him something? I'd be like, if they call Chicago, I'd be like, you can have Felicio and Daniel Gafford. And I wouldn't give him. Who gonna give him something at this point?
I
Plus,
don't
he
know.
got
They'll
contract.
slam the full. They'll won't even. They'll probably laugh and hang up the phone on you if you you offer him Gafford. That's not. I don't
Alfred
think that's how.
Gafford and Feliciano and
Felicio, no, no, no.
Oh no!
because you
No
Mm-mm.
got to match
No
way.
that.
way.
They'll
Got
laugh. They'll laugh you at the building. They'll like no. Hecky no.
But a lot of teams ain't gonna take him. It's, that's hot meat right now. Ain't nobody gonna take that contract. And you gotta, you know, they might get him in Brooklyn though. Or Philly, I believe he's gonna go to Philly though. To be honest with you, I believe D'Antoni gonna make it a way to get him in Philadelphia.
Do you really think Doc Rivers want to deal with that
I
after
really,
what he's doing with the Clippers last season with Kawhi and Paul George?
I think Doc Rivers just want to win again, and if that means dealing with it to try to win again, he gonna figure he was able to deal with Garnett. So if you dealt with Garnett, you can pretty much deal with anybody. So I think he can pull it, and then he might need that leadership with Embiid. He might can help Embiid. I don't know how him and Simmons gonna work together, but that's what I mean. It's rough. Like, where can he really go? And even with like Westbrook say he happy in Washington, he might be. He get to put up a triple double every night, and won't
Well,
nobody
he's got
say.
to play with Bradley Beal, so we'll
Yeah, I'm
see
about
how
to
that
say.
works.
Yeah, I'm about to say. I mean, that's kind of Bradley Bill's team at this point. So, do you really think he's gonna want to play second fiddle?
Yeah, we gonna find out. Unless we can get Bradley to come to Chicago and send them Otto Porter back or something.
Oh yeah.
Trust me, they're not missing him at this point.
Oh no, not at all. I would also say too. Did you guys hear about what happened with the Clippers? I guess Paul George basically threw Doc Rivers under the bus, saying that he never made any adjustments.
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
really? That's rich coming from you. Where were you those last couple in game 6 and 7, dude? What the heck were
Hit
you?
the side of the backboard. How you hit the top side of the backboard on a 3-point shot? I still don't know. He the last person that should be talking. He shouldn't be saying a word. Like not at all. And then he also was saying him and Kawhi was good and they good going forward. They just needed better coaching and some more moves to be made. But y'all let y'all 6-man go out the door, y'all still might lose another person. So I don't really see the Clippers like making noise. And then Paul George was talking all that. He wanted to be treated like Kawhi was being treated. You're not him. We knew he was gonna show up. You're not going. We don't know if you're gonna show up or not. You may not show up. You will let somebody down. Ask the people in Indiana. You will let them down in the playoffs. And Kawhi never really let people down in the playoffs. He might have an off game and score 30. That's an off game. So yeah, he should be quiet up there.
I'm not surprised at some of the stories I heard coming out of Clippers camp about what happened this past season. Of course, we all know Kawhi demands a lot. You're a superstar. You're supposed to play your hand. I remember myself along with Jason when we were, excuse me, doing the shows from the studio earlier this year, last season, that Kawhi spoke to Clippers management about taking a certain amount of games off because it worked in Toronto, and you saw what happened with him winning his second ring with the Raptors in 2019. You knew he was going to do the same method with the Clippers, and he got his way when he told management to get Paul George. Of course, that's how they joined up with the Clippers, but there was no leadership in that locker room last year, guys. Everybody else on that team, like Montrezl Harrell now with the Lakers, you still have Pat Beverly there on the team. Who was really the leader in that locker room? You really didn't have a leader. We all know that Paul George is not a leader. And you mentioned his playoff struggles, Lamont, barring 2013 when he was a young player with the Pacers. But we all know that Paul George struggles in the playoffs. Kawhi Leonard, he's not really a rah-rah guy in front of the cameras. He leads by example. But you really didn't have anybody in that locker room last year that stood up and said, enough with this BS. We got to get this thing going. And sometimes your best player is not always your best leader. And you got to have somebody on the end of that roster or the middle of that roster to say, hey, a person who commands the room and says, rallies the troops together and say, hey, no more BS. We got to get this thing going. And you did not see that in the playoffs last year in the bubble.
Yeah, and I that's why I think they could have got a person like Rondo. It would have helped them. But he would
help more with the Clippers, yeah.
Yeah, I think he went. I think he's working on his coaching game right now. I think he's trying to ease his way into a coaching spot.
Well, he's with Atlanta playing right now, backing up Trae Young.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. I think he's trying to get a coaching spot.
Yeah, I think he's doing his coaching thing.
Yeah, I think he's on that coaching stuff. But while we got a second, switch gears because I didn't get a chance to talk to y'all about this. We'll talk about the Cubs and that Cal Schwarber thing. Like, I know I missed y'all. I wasn't on with y'all the other day. Did y'all mention that the other day?
We did, and look, I mean, it's sort of, happy birthday to Jed Hoyer, by the way. He's a December baby like me. I love it. A happy birthday to you. I mean, it's going to depend on what they decide to do. I mean, do they want to go like full on rebuild? Do they want to like just, tear everything down and just start from the ground up again? Or do they want to maybe try and see if they can perhaps contend? It's going to be a tough, it's going to be a tough division to win now. Look, Schwarber, I think, the White Sox, I'm sure will probably make a go at him. Maybe the Yankees. Who else would you say, Sid, that they basically any American League team, Sid, basically, right? For Schwarber, if he doesn't go back to the Cubs for less money? Go ahead, Lamont.
Yeah, that's the part I don't get, because why not move him when you could have got something for him instead of just allowing him to go for nothing? That's the part I don't really get. And I've never really questioned their decisions up top over there too much, but if you knew you wasn't gonna bring them back, why not move them and get y'all something going forward? That's the part I didn't get.
Yeah, I mean, look, I mean, and they might still do that. I mean, if they do decide to kind of say, okay, you know what, we're going to try to contend, and if they don't play well, maybe the first few games of the season, no matter how many games they ended up playing, halfway through the season, do they end up perhaps trading Schwarber? Do you trade, some other pieces? So I don't know. Like I said, I mean, it's going to all depend on what direction that Jed Hoyer decides to take the team at this point, because there's a reason why Theo left. There's a reason why Len Casper left. I mean, there's a reason why.
I wasn't on with y'all about the Len Casper thing. Like, whoa, and then he just going across town. So what that move gonna be? Him and Steve Stone?
It's gonna be him and Jason Benetti for when Stoney's off, and he's actually gonna be doing radio. I think him and Darren Jackson. I think Darren Jackson's still gonna be doing the color commentary. So yeah.
Yeah, that should be interesting.
Yeah. So what do you think about that?
Oh, what about that move?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've always been a fan of him. I mean, I can deal with Steve Stone too, because he gets a little, he the closest we gonna have to the Hulk, I guess. Be a homer, so to speak. And he be having Cubs and White Sox flashbacks during the game. But yeah, I can deal with Steve Stone. Like, I like Benetti a lot, but I can deal with Steve Stone. And but I had got accustomed to Casper, like, who's going to be calling these Cubs games now? And he was the kind of reason to listen to the Cubs games. And they say it ain't nothing with Marquis, but Marquis can't be too happy with him just walking like that. Like, they can't be.
Now we got Sid back. So Sid, what's Lamont was just making, who are the names that are being floated around, perhaps maybe replacing Lynn Casper with the Marquee doing the Cubs broadcast?
I know that Chris Myers is in the running from Fox Sports. Of course, he was named one of the replacement announcers last year when Lynn was there, when Marquee never was starting up. But as we discussed in our last podcast, Lakeena, I wouldn't be surprised if he got the job, because he's in-house, so you don't have to pay him a whole lot of money. He'll do an adequate job. Of course, he does some football on Fox, and he hosts various programs as well. So I won't be surprised if he ends up getting the job. So I think the Cubs will be in good hands as far as a business standpoint. But as far as on the field, you have to be careful I think they'll try to run it back for 2021, but in baseball sense, it would make sense to do a whole rebuild. But you go into year 2 of the Marquee Sports Network, and how fans with the various cable outlets not carrying that network, and other various cable outlets getting on board at the last second before the season started late this past summer. You really don't want to go through it in year 2 of a new network. So in baseball sense, it will make sense for the Cubs to rebuild, but I don't see them doing that just yet.
Right. Yeah, for those particular reasons.
And
now Kyle Schwarber on the south side, Lamont, I think he will work, because his field is not as bad as Eloy Jimenez is. And number 2, the Sox have been looking for a left-handed power hitter for a long time. So I think that Kyle Schwarber would work.
But that's what I was asking Lakeena when you was out. Why wouldn't they just move him like towards the end of last year to the south side and get something for him instead of losing him for nothing?
Yeah, but I think a lot of teams probably may not want to give away their top prospects, because especially with COVID, they may want to keep their guys, especially because we don't know what the minor league situation is going to be. So they may want to keep their top prospects. So that's sort of my take. I don't know how Sid feels, but that's my take on it.
No, I couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah, I would love to see him on the south side, though. He can go over that little wall easy out on 35th. I would love to see him stay in Chicago. I mean, I liked him, always have liked him.
And we're used to it though with Schwartz. I mean, Eloy, you don't have to freak out if he goes over the fence. I think he played football for a little bit, so he's okay. Eloy, not so much.
Yeah, what movie was that? Major League, when he ran through the wall. Eloy gonna run through the wall. He gonna run through the wall one time. Cause he big and he's strong. He gonna run through one of. He lucky they ain't got them old fences like they used to have in old Milwaukee and old Atlanta.
Oh gosh, yeah, those fences. My gosh, padded fences.
Run right through them.
All right, a couple of quick things before we wrap up. This going back to the NBA for a second. That the NBA is implementing a new resting policy. Teams will be prohibited from resting healthy players for any high-profile, nationally televised games, and violators could result in a fine of at least $100,000. What do you guys think about that?
The Bulls ain't got to worry about that. They don't have no high-profile player or game, so it don't matter.
Here's something that the NBA used to do back in the day, especially with superstars like Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, and Michael Jordan. You could load manage by not playing them as many minutes. That's something the Lakers should do with LeBron James to start off the first couple months of this season, since they were one of the last 2 teams to finish up in the bubble. Don't play them as many minutes. That makes sense. In that way, by the time the playoffs start, in late May of 2021, he'll be fresh.
Yeah, but it's like they not that smart. It be seeming like they not that smart. See, like simple stuff that we come up with and think about, they get paid to think about it, and I think they overthink stuff and don't think about something as simple as that. Okay, let's put them out there for 2 minutes of each quarter. The person that came to see that game ain't gonna notice that. They gonna say, okay, he was out there at the beginning of the fourth quarter. He was out there at the beginning of the half. He started the game. They got to see him introduced. And that's all. I mean, it's not like rocket science. And the people that get paid like it's rocket science seems not to make the rocket science type decisions. So that's what be getting me sometimes. Like you just said, that's real simple what they could do.
Yeah, because you didn't see Michael Jordan take games off if he wasn't injured. You didn't see that with Magic Johnson. You didn't see that with Larry Bird. Of course, he was injured toward the last couple of years of his career, but during the prime of his career, he didn't just sit out just to sit out. It didn't make any sense. And I know the NBA was in a different position at that time, but still, those players understood that you played the game also for the fans. That's something you don't see too much anymore.
That's why I say Kobe.
I almost sound like an old guy, get off my lawn type of person, but you definitely see a difference.
Kobe was the last one. Kobe was the last one. He was the last one. Everybody else, and like you say, that prima donna type situation, like you can blame it all on LeBron from his, I'm taking my talents to South Beach. It all went wrong on that day. When they felt like they was pretty much equal and could say, I want to play this and I want to play that. I mean, even with little Jerry Krause, look what he was doing with Scottie Pippen. And Scottie Pippen was one of the top 50 players in the world. He was like, you still play for me. And I don't think, people in power have that type of power anymore. They're like kind of intimidated by the superstars, so to speak. Just like up in Milwaukee, they should be rolling out anything they can to keep Giannis. And they almost to the point where we going to try to help you. I mean, really bringing in who they bringing in, do you really think that's going to change Milwaukee fortunes? That one player, like they let Robin Lopez go. I mean, bringing in that one player, then they showed you they couldn't get a deal done with the other cat. So, like, I can see him leaving. And maybe he need to come to a team like Chicago.
Well, and I also say, too, about this particular rule they're going to put in place. I mean, look, LeBron's got a lot of miles on him. He's 35 now. I just don't think that he'll be playing that much. Maybe he won't play that many minutes. Maybe he'll only play like 20-some minutes, maybe. I mean, maybe the 25 or 30. I don't know. But I think we're going to be seeing – I think a lot of teams are going to try to work their way around this quote-unquote rule. And if because there are going to be some teams, Kawhi's not going to want to play, LeBron's not going to want to play, and I'm sure a few others. So it's going to be very interesting to see how they really implement this rule.
Before we get off, I got my TV on in front of me, and I'm watching, of course, my Joy Taylor and them show. And they talking Matt Nagy on the hot seat, like that's the headline. Matt Nagy on the hot seat after he blows another game. So
we've been telling you that on this show all year.
Oh yeah, totally.
That's what I'm saying. Like he get on the TV and said now that it's a big thing, but we've been telling y'all that for what? How many weeks now?
Yeah,
the whole season basically.
Yeah.
Now since he's saying it.
Yeah, now that everyone else is saying it. Some important notes too. Shane Beamer, who is the OC over at Oklahoma, is now the new head coach over at South Carolina, I should say. He's the son of Frank Beamer, and for what everyone said, he knows how to recruit. So we'll see how he does in South Carolina. It's going to be a tall task. Look, everybody thought it was a tall task when his dad Frank went to Tech, but he ended up making a power. So we'll see. We'll see what he does over down in South Carolina.
Yeah.
And some other news, the Olympics, they're going to give breakdancing a chance. Yes, the old breakdancing from the 80s, 70s and 80s. Yeah, in 2020.
I got a problem with that. Tell you why.
Okay, let me finish this. 2024, they'll be giving it a spin. That's that nice, nice little play on words there. Yeah, they're gonna give it a spin, and yeah, it'll be in the 2024 Olympics in, I believe they're in Beijing, if I'm not mistaken. Paris. They're gonna be in Paris. They're gonna be in Paris in 2024. So go ahead, Lamont. What's your gripe about?
I've been trying to get this in there. You can't read it. I've been playing 16 in softball for 20 years. Why they don't have 16 in softball in the Olympics? If you're going to put that in the Olympics, at least it's a sport. Yes.
Oh, my gosh.
I've been playing softball for 20 years. And why we're not in the Olympics? I mean, yeah, I go to the national tournaments and we travel all over and play. But why we want to go to the Olympics, too.
I'll say this real quick, and then we'll move on. Bring back those old school Soul Train dancers from the 1970s and 80s, and they'll shut it all down.
You talking about that lady with the long hair? I know who you talking about.
Yes.
I know who you talking about.
Hey, bring Fred rerun Barry from the dead, and he'll get it done. I know this is way before he got on What's Happening, but bring him back as well.
So that's how it looked. That's how he got his start. So yeah, most people most folks under 30 won't get that reference, but do check out Fred Berry and Soul Train. You'll see what we're talking about on YouTube.
Yeah, the lockers
and the lockers.
How would you even judge breakdancing in the Olympics? That's
I guess like gymnastics and figure skating. I guess
the most spins on your head. 1, 2, 3.
I guess they'll figure it out. So, what are you guys looking forward to this week before we convene on Friday?
Hopefully, they get some football games in. Like, really, hopefully they get some football games in. Like, and the NBA seeing how many people gonna turn up positive and who be able to practice and who don't practice, and will Harden end up on another team? Will anybody else make another move? I officially got my Phoenix Suns jersey. I will be rooting for Phoenix, as I told y'all, and they don't look that bad. So I'm going to call them. They'll make the playoffs before the Bulls.
Yeah, when we reconvene on our next podcast, the NBA preseason will be on the horizon. I'm just interested to see how the Bulls will look under new head coach Billy Donovan. They'll play the Rockets. I don't think James Harden will probably end up being playing in those games over the weekend anyway. So, like you said, Lamont, the NBA's testing has been pretty good so far. Only a few players have been tested for COVID. It's not been a big outbreak, thank goodness. But who is everybody going to be ready for the preseason when we reconvene for the weekend, or is it going to be a mess? So we'll just have to monitor the situation.
Do you think the Bulls team will have more structure? Can you think it'll be evident from the start that you can see it's more structure, or do you think you'll see some of the same old bad habits going in?
Not necessarily, though. I think, look, and remember, too, a lot of these teams have not played in months. They have not played since March. So I think –
including the Bulls.
And Bulls included. Bulls included.
The sloppiness – I can understand the sloppiness. I'm talking about the structure part of it.
Oh, no. No. I think, Billy Donovan is a very good coach. He has a good staff around him. So I think they'll be fine. I think, you'll go through some growing pains, but I think they'll be fine. Once now you have a competent coach and a competent coaching staff in the back, we'll see how it goes.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, Sid?
Yeah, I agree with you more. It's going to take time for Donovan's system to digest for those players who are on the roster, but you can understand the sloppiness early on. I think you're going to see that throughout the league as the preseason starts, but it's going to take time. Going back to the Bulls, but I think in time they'll get in. They'll start getting more of Billy Donovan's verge on what he wants to do for this team.
I just want to see how everyone looks. Like the Bulls and like a few other teams, they have not played since March. They haven't played in months, so you're gonna see some pretty bad. I want to warn people. You're gonna might see some pretty bad basketball with some teams for the first couple of weeks. I think people just need to be patient.
Yeah, it'll work itself out. It'll work. The kinks will work out. I mean, I've been trying to read up on some San Antonio stuff and see what's going on with their assistant coaches down there. You know, Duncan walked away. What's up with Becky? I don't know what she's doing down there. Waiting on the job that Pop ain't gonna get to it. NBA still gonna make her coach. I don't know why they playing games. I've been rooting for her for like 2-3 years.
Have they even said haven't named his successor yet?
Nope.
Okay, all right. Yeah, like you said, I mean, Duncan's gone. We'll see if Hammond gets the job. It's going to be interesting to see where that goes, because there's just a lot of confusion going on in San Antonio, no doubt. They're basically starting from scratch now.
Yeah, and she been there longer than anybody else, pretty much. And she the only one off the staff that didn't get a job so far. So we'll see.
All right, I'm looking forward to a couple of big college hoops games tomorrow when after this recording. Creighton and KU. We'll see how KU looks. We'll see how Creighton looks. Let's see. Oh, another good one. Illinois and Duke in the ACC Big Ten Challenge. If that's still going on, because remember,
keep our fingers crossed.
Yeah, because there have been a couple of cancellations due to COVID. So we'll see if that game comes up, because that could affect. Because the cancellation of Gonzaga and Baylor, that could affect Illinois and Duke. So we'll see how that goes.
See all of that there? That's just, man, that's too much thinking, man. They need to come out with something where you can get a shot and play the same day.
Well, the vaccine is not here yet.
Yeah, it can't get here fast enough. But I think I don't think it'll be widely distributed until probably perhaps in June, May or June. That's my prediction. Now, on that note, you follow me at Keena McGee on Twitter and at Keena_McGee on the IG.
You can follow me at Lamont Scott on Facebook, Lamont Scott 69 on Instagram, and Lamont Scott 16 on Twitter.
You can follow yours truly on the Insta and the Twitter at SidKid80. Once again, that's SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80. You can go to our website at weareregalradio.com. That's WEAREREGAL radio.com. You can also follow this podcast, Second City Sports, along with our other programming from War Media by simply searching for War on Anchor. Wherever you download your podcast, make sure you search for War on Anchor. We're also on iHeartRadio. Please download the iHeartRadio app and search for War on Anchor on there. And we are also on the Tube, a.k.a. YouTube, at War Media. Once again, at WARR Media. You can not only listen to us, but watch us do our thing live.
Yes, you can. So, and like and subscribe. Get those likes up, folks.
Yes, like, comment, share, and subscribe, please.
All right. So, also our previous episodes are on there as well. So, just check them all out. So, you guys stay safe out there and stay warm, because it's supposed to be a little cooler, more seasonal, I guess you can say, for this time of year. So, for the guys, I'm Lakeena. This has been Second City Sports Zoom style, and we'll see you Friday.
Peace.